one of my favorite days was the evening of Sunday, Mother's Day, 2004, when I had the pleasure opportunity to work with my coworker, who was also my daughter, Glenda. We did the 11 o'clock news. She came on the set with flowers. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. And I said, I don't know how I'm going to get through this newscast. I was filled up, and she gave me a kiss on the cheek, and I saw her eyes. Her eyes were filled up. And it made me feel so good. I felt so blessed and so honored that the management here kind of put their stamp of approval on that evening for us. A memorable evening, something that will be with me through a lifetime. And we made history here. It was fun. I remember the music coming on and me opening, "Good evening, everyone. I'm Diana Lewis." And Glenda said, "And I'm Glenda Lewis." I got chills. I just sat there. I got chills. It was a wonderful newscast, and we got right into it. It was back and forth. We delivered the news like it should be delivered, and it was probably one of the best shows I've ever done.
I have several questions. Do you have any other memories that kind of come to the forefront when you think about your time here at Channel 7?
Well, I do. I do of my daughter, Donna, my older daughter, Donna, when she was doing the show Fast Forward here. Sandy McPhee was the producer, and it was geared towards young children, 8 to 14. And that was very special because we needed that in the community. We needed kids to know what they could do, projects that they could do after school. It was giving them something. And for her to be my daughter, it made me very proud. That was a very nice memory to know that not only coming from Diana Lewis and how I loved and cared about the community, but it showed through my daughters. And that's very special to me. We're just a family who cared and loved this community, and we were able to use the vehicle that WXYZ Channel 7 provided for us at the time to do that. So that was fun. I have so many memories. Don't make me think of Rich Fisher. Oh my God. One night, Bill Bonds was off. Rich Fisher sat in. And Rich was always just a jovial guy, a lovable person. And we're getting near the end of the show. And I thank God that it was near the end of the show. We went out to commercial and came back, and I'm going over my scripts. And I turned around and I looked at Rich, and he had Bonds toupee on. And he had the little glasses on. And I completely lost it. Marie, I've never in my life laughed like I did that night. I went down, and you had Don Bosque. Okay, get it together there, Di. Get it together. And I come up, and I went back down again. I just couldn't bring it together at all. It was the funniest thing, and they used it on the reel many times at holidays that we had. They played that over and over again. That was a fun memory. And Fisher was straight-faced just like Bonds. "Okay, Dee, you ready to do the news?" And I just laughed. And it was so great because we're so serious and we're so mindful of what we're doing when we're out there delivering the news, to just have a moment that I knew would last me for a lifetime. That was fun with Rich. Then there are other moments. When Nelson Mandela came to town to visit with us, we stayed up all night. We stayed up all night. We never left the newsroom. We never left the set. We had Terry Frisco, who was there then, the floor manager, feeding us candy bars like Milky Ways and different things just to keep us going. And we enjoyed it. We loved it. We were on the air like 18 hours on TV time. I loved it.
Let me ask you, just for context, for people that are watching at home, some folks may not remember or understand the importance of Mandela's visit here to Detroit. Why was that visit important, do you think?
Well, I think it was important to the world, and Detroit was just one of the honored cities to receive him after so many years in prison, you know, and wrongfully so. And that's just not my opinion, but it was proven to be that. But he stood for something. And as my mother and father would always say, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Nelson Mandela didn't fall for anything. So was the same with his wife, Minnie. But his wife, Winnie, she was also a pioneer, a revolutionary. But Nelson Mandela just was a man of God. He was a man who stood for people's rights, you know, and that the injustices that were being done in Africa, as well as across the world, everyone could relate to that. Everyone could relate to someone standing for them. And that's what Nelson Mandela did. And we all applauded that. It was a time when everyone came together. It didn't matter, white, black. It didn't matter about your ethnicity. It was about your heart and what you wanted to see of people. And you wanted to see people be treated a certain way. You wanted justice for all. And that was his bottom line. That was what Nelson Mandela stood for. And that's why Channel 7 literally invited him here, so that we could show the community that we also represented that justice for all.
I have to ask, because I feel like you're a pioneer in our industry. I think a lot of people do. Even I looked up to you as a producer, and it meant so much to see women take a center spotlight. When you were going through that, did you think about that when you were coming up through the ranks, about what your elevation meant for a lot of other people?
Well, I kind of had to, because my mother, who was born in 1919, was one of the pioneers for women's rights to vote. So it was in my home. I would hear it all the time, how we have to stand up and be respectful and be decent and have something in mind and let people hear what you have to say and represent that. So I grew up with my mother fighting for women's rights. So it was always a part of my education of learning and growing. So yes, it meant something to me, because I realized and I recognized that during the time what I was doing would carry through the ages. I would absolutely pass it down through my girls, and they would absolutely pass it down through their girls. So it resonated throughout the community that I stood for that, and I thought, because I was respected and admired, because I gave my all, that would mean something to the women in the community, that you want to become like a woman who represents and stands for something, and you follow through, and you sit down and you educate as you go along. And that's what I tried to do. I would always stop and gather young people and talk to them. I would always make appearances and speak my mind as to how I felt, and encourage women to support one another and to just represent the rights of women and what we should be about in our families, in our professions, wherever we are. It was always very important for a woman to be heard and respected. So it took quite a bit, because we went through certain times, of course, when that was not the case. But we fought for it, and we made it, and we arrived, and we've never looked back.
You have always been a part of this community. There are certain places like Haven, Tuesday's Child, that were really important to you. Tell me about those community spaces that you thought it was important to join.
Well, I think it's important even today, because I'm continuing to watch Tuesday's Child. There are children in our communities who need love. They need families. They need people who care. There are children who are crying for a home. And I thought that I needed to connect myself to that, because if I could actually adopt all of them, I would have, quite honestly. I enjoyed going out, being able to come back and relay their stories to the public. Here's a child who is hungry for love, who has so many talents, who just wants to belong. And that was kind of like the bottom line. You have a child who's out in the world, who feels neglected, who doesn't feel love. And that's what connected me to that particular project. And I did it for many, many years, trying to literally sell a child to a family out there. Hey, listen to me. If you have room in your home, if you have love in your heart, if you can take care of a child, open your heart and open your home. That was the message, because even today, there are so many children who need love, who need a home. And that's probably the greatest gift of all that you could ever do, is to open your home and your heart for a child who needs a home. I enjoy doing that, and I think it's so very important for everyone to just stop and kind of reevaluate. Look at yourselves. See if you can bring somebody in and give them and caress them and help mold their lives so that they can have a better life. I kind of think that's the bottom line.
And I feel like our station has always, well, for 75 years, we've been a part of this community.
Yes.
Why do you think it is always important for us to be a part of this community and to give back in any way that the station can?
Well, it's always impressed me because, like I said, there were people like our general manager, Mike Murray. When I first started working here, he was like the chief of sales. So friendly, always smiling, always walking through with families, embracing people. You know, you just don't talk people. You be with people. You become a part of them. You put your arms around someone. That's what I became accustomed to seeing from the top management down. And that's what Channel 7 was about. We were number one in the community many, many years. And in my opinion, always will be, and still number one, because we did care about people, and the people in the community knew it. We had different affairs right here on the ground. I mean, we started to "Don't Get Caught Without Your Shot." My Donna and my Glenda did that commercial when we got rolling. I mean, we were letting you know at home that we're not just here giving you the news of the day, but we're telling you what's important in family life, what you need to raise your children, what you need to stay healthy. And we were always a part of a health program. We always had wonderful programs to benefit people, to show people that we care about you, we love you, we embrace you, and we're here to help you to the next step in life. We were always very supportive. Support is a very important word, and Channel 7 was always supportive of the community. I think that's why we were, and in my opinion, and always will be, number one.
I have to go back. So if we go back in time, 1977.
Oh, my first day on the air, July 4th, 1977, and the meteorologist, a little redhead guy called Rob Kress. Oh, God, we were so excited. It was dynamite. I mean, the firecrackers were papping all around us because we were so happy. And I felt really good because it was an opportunity for me to come in from California and be the first female to work with, whoa, the Sun King, Mr. Bill Bonds. Did I ever hear all the stories about Billy? And how did that work out? It was a dream come true. Did we go through our changes? Of course we did. Billy was Billy, and that's why we all loved him. But it was a wonderful day. He embraced me, I embraced him, the community embraced us, and it was a 4th of July day that I'll never forget. It was a team that remained a team and became family. We just loved one another. We were in each other's lives, and it was a great day. July 4th, 1977 was the beginning of my love affair with Detroit.
And then you and Bill became together iconic.
Yeah.
What's that like to just be Diana and Bill?
I think it was just that. We were just Diana and Bill. I was always just me. And he would say that. He would look at me and he said, I like who you are. I like what you bring to the table every day. As a matter of fact, during my retirement, he did say that when he presented me with an Emmy, because we won, I believe it was our first 11 o'clock Emmy when I was a part of the team. And that night, you know, they're always saying, Billy's selfish, everything has to be Bonds. Well, when we were announced, Channel 7's 11 o'clock news, the winner, I got this, Dee. He went up and he received the Emmy. It was Billy being Billy to say that he did the whole thing, but he didn't really feel that way in his heart. But who knew, after so many years, almost 4 decades, he was here for my retirement party, and what did he take out of a little brown bag and say, I think you deserve this? That was that Emmy that he presented me that evening. And he said, you worked for this too, Dee. That was special. I loved that guy, and he showed me that he loved me. It was easy for me to work with Bill because I'm a Christian woman. I'm a God-fearing woman. I love people, and I think Billy was very perceptive. Billy was able to feel that, and he enjoyed being able to trust me because he could. And we became like big brother, little sister. It was a wonderful team. We had we had years of working together that I've never seen in any market, and I've been in many markets. It didn't click like that. It was a charisma, it was a feeling, it was trusting. You had to trust one another. You know, it was something really, really special working with Bill. I'll never forget the day that, trying to think, was it Billy on the set with me? But it was the day that my director said into my ear, and it probably was Don Bosquet or Jerry Rimmer, let's go out to commercial and we'll do the story when we come back. But Michael Jackson is dead. I'm on the air live. I said, what are you talking about? Wait a minute. You just can't tell me that Michael Jackson is dead and expect me to go out to commercial. Give me some more information so that I can tell the people at home what's going on, and then we'll go to a break and come back. And they did that. So that's the real me. You know, if we had to lose a commercial, you're talking about Michael Jackson was dead, and you expect me, and I'll be right back after this. And they applauded me, the general manager, vice president, and everyone. I'm glad you didn't do that. It was real. We're human beings. We're just not talking machines sitting there. So when stories like that came across us, we responded and reacted to it. And I think people at home appreciated us being that human. And it meant that much to us, just like it meant to them at home, to be able to sometimes stop the motor and just tell it like it is. This man was an icon. This was Michael Jackson, dear and near to everyone's heart. So when things like that happened, we responded accordingly. And Billy did that. Billy did that. He would, no matter what it was, a lot of times he was criticized for that, but I was applauding him. I was applauding him for that because it showed a real Bill Bonds. And that's what made him so popular. That's what made him the #1 news anchor man. Because he was real, he was Billy, he did it that way every day. He required the best out of the reporters, out of the producers, out of the writers. I mean, he would grill you if you were a reporter out in the street. And I picked that up from him. I learned so much from him. You just don't hydroplane the story. Tell me the nuts and bolts of the story, even if it did run over a little. Stay with the story. That's what people at home wanted. That's what Channel 7 did. We gave people at home what they wanted. We gave them the story, and that's what we were known for, and that was the bottom line to our success.
You know, connected to that, we've done many campaigns throughout the years, probably most famous, the one right behind you, Stand Up Detroit.
Yes.
It was an important campaign at the moment, and it was a very popular stand up and tell them you're from Detroit. Do you remember what it was like in that time to be part of the city, to be part of Detroit, and have a lot of pride in a time where there might not have been a lot of pride going on for our city?
Well, I thought it was very important for us to stand up and tell them that we were from Detroit. It was time for us to take a stand, and we took a stand as a family and as a news team. It was very important because there was so much going on. I mean, when I first came here in '77, we were the murder capital of the world. There was an Oakland County child killer at large, and I had children. I mean, people were frightened. So to take that pride and to become a part of the very fabric of the spirit of Detroit, you had to do something to let the public know that we cared about them. So when that campaign came along, and I believe we hired some really wonderful people from Florida to come out and do that campaign, it just resonated through the community. People were singing the song. We would go downtown, they'd stand up and tell them we're from Detroit. It became a beat. It became emotion. It became a swagger that really did just permeate throughout the community because we were proud. And that's kind of like the bottom line. When you're proud of something and when you believe in something, you stand up and you tell them where you're from. And we stood up because we were from Detroit, and we took great pride in that.
What else do you remember that you think people would want to know? We've had 75 years of history. Anything else that you can think of that's important?
Well, I think people like to know how we were behind the scenes. We were a family behind the scenes. I mean, I attended bar mitzvah, bat mitzvahs. We had barbecues, we had parties. We were really a family. I went to dance recitals, Don Shane's kids, I watched them grow, and so many other children, and they were a part of my children's growth. Know that we weren't just there when we were giving you the news. We were together all the time. Maybe it had something to do, we were all basically in the same age group, and our children grew up together, but it was, I can't say it enough, a family affair. We were really close. We loved one another, you know, and we cared about each other. Every day for dinner we were together. Reggie Hall, sports producer, I loved him like a big brother. And Don Shane and Tom Lydon and so many people I could name. Barry Cutler, who traveled with me all over. It was Barry Cutler who went with me to Florida when I interviewed Serena and Venus.
Serena and Venus.
And Venus, yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
when we interviewed Venus, when we traveled to Florida, Barry Cutler was the producer. Venus was giving me tennis lessons in her backyard. Can you imagine what that meant to me? It was like surreal. It was so much fun. And then I went to New York. Glenda and I were chosen to be on the Jane Pauley show. She was doing a show with mothers and daughters in the same career. It was a wonderful day, and we had maybe a non-stop 18-hour day, because then Barry Cutler and I, we went to do Regis Philbin's show. Regis was my mentor. I loved him dearly. When we left California, Glenda was 3 years of age. He held her up in their Hollywood Hills home, and he said, "I love you. Uncle Regis will always be in your life." The next time Regis Philbin saw Glenda, it was in New York. It was 30 years later. He turned around, they were taping the show. We were standing there, and he looked. He said, "Diana," and he looked, "Glenda, no," and we just embraced. It was so real. It was so wonderful. These are the moments. And then I had a little stint on All My Children. We were there. We went from one place to another. We were about it. We were a news team. We were anxious to be a part of everything and bring it back to Detroit and let everyone see how involved we were and how we loved going out of even the city and bringing that good news back, and other people getting to know us. I remember doing the spring training with Oprah. I was there when she started that program, and it just went.
What was she like? What was it like to interview Oprah?
Oprah was
Go ahead.
a phenomenal woman. Oprah Winfrey, a phenomenal woman. I was so happy to interview her. I was so happy to be in Chicago and walk with her when she started the spring training program. Easy to talk to, very down to earth, a real human being who, like myself, with a very good heart, and she wanted to do everything that she could to help people and to bring the best out of a person. And that's what she did with the program. For us at Channel 7, we started at Lawrence Tech. We had busloads and busloads of people coming in, doing the walks with us, maybe once a month. Hundreds and hundreds of people telling us stories, standing there, we're in tears, standing there about my mother has cancer, my son is dying, whatever it was. We made that into a glorified walk, and it became a healthy issue, because we started mall walking. I was walking all over the city, coming back feeling really good and getting ready to do a newscast. We were just all over the place. We were involved because we cared, and it meant so much to everyone. It meant so much, and Channel 7 allowed us to do that. They were behind us every step of the way. It was like we couldn't do enough. We couldn't do enough to be in the community and to represent who we were. We were a station who just stood up for love and stood up for respect and stood up for justice. And it really did help. It made a difference. It made a difference in the city of Detroit, what we did as a news team here at Channel 7 at Broadcast House.
I feel like there's one or two other people I have to ask about. One is Jerry Hodak, because he started the same year you did, in 1977 here.
Uncle Chief. Uncle Chief, that's what my girls came through Channel 7 so often. Glenda selling Girl Scout cookies, Donna coming in and out. And they came so often, they started calling Jerry Hodak Uncle Jerry, and then when he was the chief meteorologist, so then it was Uncle Chief. I mean, it was like that. You know, it was family. You just don't say uncle to say uncle. You say uncle, and you say, "Hi, Auntie," like to Val Clark and to other people. You say that because you felt something special from these people. And that's what it was all about. Don Shane, Jerry Hodak, Al Ackerman. I mean, I could just name all of the people that we worked with. And it just made one wholesome feeling come out of Channel 7 WXYZ, because we cared, we loved one another. So it was a good time for us. And that good time, I believe, we just passed it along, because those coming in after us were happy to receive that baton. And on that baton was written love, caring about the community, giving of oneself, you know, unconditionally. We came in here every day, and we were ready to give the public the best that we could. And we did that. And we did just that.